Waycross presents an election forum for United States Congress 8th District. There are two candidates running for one seat. They are, in alphabetical order, Warren Davidson, Vanessa Enoch.
Good evening. This is the election forum on Waycross Community Media. I'm your host, Kurt Radel, Government Programming Coordinator. Voting is Tuesday, November the 5th. Early voting starts on October 8th. Now, the last day to register or update your name or address is October 7th. To get further details, you can go to votehamiltoncountyohio.gov. Now, if you're watching this program live tonight on October 2nd, local residents are invited to submit their own questions to the candidates, which can be emailed to live@waycross.org. Again, that is live@waycross.org. You can send the email during this live broadcast only. Questions must be phrased for all candidates to respond. Email questions must include the resident's name, address, and community. Now, details will not be shared on the air. We will only read the first name and the street. An example, from Mary on Waycross. To see this broadcast, for more information, you can go to waycross.tv. As you heard in the opening credits, there are two candidates for the United States Congress 8th District. Dr. Vanessa Enoch is in the studio. Warren Davidson was not available to be with us tonight. He has taped his 2-minute opening statement, and we will hear that statement now.
Hi, I'm Congressman Warren Davidson. I represent the 8th Congressional District in Ohio. That's the west side of Hamilton County, all Butler County, all Preble County, all Darke County, and a little bit of Miami County. Almost 800,000 people. It is an incredible honor to represent our district in the House of Representatives. I'm on the House Financial Services Committee and the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and I'm dealing with the weaponization of federal government. Before I was in Congress, I was in the Army. I enlisted in the Army after high school, got the chance to go to West Point, served in great units like the 75th Ranger Regiment, the 101st Airborne Division. And then when I got out of the Army, I got into manufacturing. So the resume quickly became Army Ranger business guy. In Congress, I'm dealing with the same kinds of issues. And right now, those are the things that are first and foremost for our country. Our economy is in shambles compared to what it should be because your dollar just doesn't buy as much as it used to. Inflation is wrecking every budget, from household budgets to the federal budget. We've got to get it under control. Our border is broken, and the first component of national security is to defend our sovereignty. And frankly, the Biden-Harris administration's undermining it, and Democrats in Congress have supported it in lockstep. It's been supported around the country by sanctuary cities and states, and we have to restore our border. And lastly, when you think about critical components of national security, look, I was an Army Ranger. I'm all in on a strong military. But we're not made stronger by being at war all the time. It's okay to say no to some of the wars we're invited to. And I hope we can do that and have a strong and focused military. I ask for your vote. I still love this country with a soldier's passion, and it would be an honor to continue to serve and represent our district.
Now, Ms. Enoch, we would like to hear your opening 2-minute statement.
Well, thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to voters in the greater Cincinnati area. I am a mom of 2 beautiful daughters. I'm a single mom. I became a single mom after my husband passed away over 20 years ago. I am also a business owner. I own a small business with 10 employees. It is a consulting firm. I also am a concerned citizen. I have lived in the greater Cincinnati area nearly my entire life. I've been a U.S. citizen my entire life. My family's from here. I am originally from a rural area in Portsmouth, Ohio, and I grew up in Coleraine Township. I currently live in Westchester, Ohio. I'm running for office as a congressperson because I believe that our citizens deserve better. We deserve people in legislature who will have our best interest at heart. My opponent talked about all of the things that are wrong with this country. Well, he is one of the individuals who we sent to Washington, D.C. to fix those things. And we can't count on him to fix it. He's been there a number of years. He hasn't passed any laws. And so as a citizen who understands the challenges that we face here at home, I want to go to Washington, D.C. and represent us. I want to be the person who takes your voice to Washington, D.C. and who proposes laws, who votes on laws, and who gets things done in Washington, D.C. Right now, we have a congressperson who gets nothing done. And all of the problems that he has addressed in his opening statement, he's part of the problem. So I want to go to D.C., be part of the solution. So thank you again for having me, and I look forward to this conversation.
What is unique about your skills and experience that you would bring to the United States Congress?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You know, as a single mom and also as a woman who has lost a husband, I would be one of only 2 single moms in Congress. In fact, the majority of the individuals who currently sit in Congress are millionaires and multimillionaires, and there are no single folks there. 72% of the African American community is currently headed by single-parent households. In addition to over 55% of U.S. households are headed by single women, mostly women, I should say, single individuals, mostly women. And so I bring a unique perspective. I bring a perspective of someone who's not only not a multimillionaire, who understands what we face here at home, but I also bring a unique perspective because there is a very small minority population in Congress, and the majority of the individuals in Congress are also over the age of 55. In fact, they go to Congress and they stay there for life. So I'll bring a unique perspective from people here at home. I also have a unique perspective because my family originated from the country, so I've lived in large cities like the greater Cincinnati area, but I also understand the challenges that people from the rural areas face.
Why do you want to be in Congress?
I want to go to Congress because I believe that we deserve representatives who understand our challenges. I want to go to Congress and ensure that we bring good paying jobs back here to the greater Cincinnati area. My opponent has voted against about $50 billion that came through the CHIPS and Science Act and through the Infrastructure Development Acts that were passed by the Biden administration. Those jobs brought good paying jobs, that legislation brought good paying jobs here to the district. And I believe we need more good paying jobs. There are people who are struggling in our district, having a hard time making ends meet. And part of that is ensuring that when resources are voted on in Congress, that we're voting and ensuring that those dollars come back to the taxpayers here in this area. So that's why I'm running for Congress. I want to make sure that when people are struggling with medicine and paying for basic necessities, that there's somebody sitting in that seat who understands what it's like to have to make a decision to buy bread or to buy medication. Someone who has faced the challenges and the difficulties that we face here at home. I believe we need a voice in Washington, D.C. that understands.
What can be done to improve the economy and give back to the American people more buying power?
So first and foremost, in order to improve the economy, we have to replace the individuals who are currently making decisions in Washington, D.C. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record in saying that, but many people who, continue to vote for the same people over and over, we keep sending the same people to Congress. Part of that's not our fault because we are gerrymandering the state of Ohio, or they are gerrymandering the state of Ohio to make sure that they stay in power, and they don't have to answer to any of us. So part of the problem is ensuring that we get rid of those folks who keep going to Washington, D.C., keep ignoring the needs of the district. And then after that, we need to pass good legislation that takes into account those challenges that we face. The fact that people are struggling on minimum wage, we're not bringing good paying jobs. We're not training people, whether it be vocational education or higher education. We need to be training people for future jobs. We need to be training people to take those jobs that all of those folks who, millions of people, or over 1 million people in the United States died during the pandemic. And those were jobs that people who were filling jobs that are now without people. So we need to be training people to take those jobs. We need to be bringing back advanced manufacturing to this country, to our communities, to make sure that people have access to those jobs so that we can afford to live. So those are some of the things that we can do in order to ensure that we fix the problems that we have here at home as far as the economy is concerned.
If you are watching this forum live tonight, October 2nd, you can be part of it by submitting your email questions to live@waycross.org. Now, email questions must include the resident's name, address, and community, and questions must be phrased for all candidates to respond. Details will not be shared on the air. Only we will read your first name and the street, and again, that's live@waycross.org. You mentioned about being a small business person. Small businesses are having a difficult time of it. What do you view can be done to give support to the small business owner?
So small business owners, some of the biggest challenges that we face as small businesses is ensuring that we have the resources to pay our staff well, so access to capital. We need to make sure that we're providing access to capital for small businesses. We also need to ensure that businesses are not strapped with paying high healthcare costs and all of those benefits and things that business owners either have to pay because of they have full-time workforce, or those things that they pay just to ensure that they are attracting the best people to this area. We need to make sure that businesses aren't strapped. We have a high population of retirees who are leaving the workforce right now. Some of the challenges that business owners face when folks are leaving as retirees is we're not having enough resources to ensure that we're taking care of those retirees. So we need to put things in place. We need to, first of all, save our Social Security and our Medicare system, which takes care of those retirees. But we have a Congress right now, we have legislators right now who want to take away Social Security, who want to privatize your Medicare. So those are the kinds of things that I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. and fight for and ensure that they understand. We must take care of our elders. We cannot allow our country to slip into a third world status because we refuse to take care of the people who used to take care of us. It's our turn now. And I want to go to Congress and to make sure that we're doing what needs to be done.
Immigration is a major concern to this country. What do you view that the U.S. should do in order to secure our borders?
So immigration has been a concern for our country for many, many years. And, the challenge I think that we face as a nation is we want to be a nation who is welcoming to immigrants, and at the same time, our legislators are not passing laws to ensure that we fix our broken immigration system. So first and foremost, we need to create a pathway to ensure that when people do come to this country, that they're able to attain legal status, they're able to work in this country. We also need to make sure that we have good policy for our international relations. I've heard many people, as I'm knocking on doors and talking to voters, who are frustrated that we are giving money to other countries, that we have diplomacy. Well, that diplomacy, part of being a diplomat, our diplomatic relations with other countries that diplomacy enables us to ensure that people are able to stay in their own countries and that they're not forced to come here because they are struggling with instability in their own countries. They're dealing with climate change issues in their own countries. So when we open our hands and we open our hearts and we ensure that other nations are taken care of, then those individuals aren't forced to have to leave those countries or seek asylum in other countries when their countries are destabilized. So part of ensuring that we have good policy is to ensure that we're actually helping when there is a need for our help. The other thing we need to do is to make sure that we're taking care of our people here at home. We need to make sure that people are working, that people have those good paying jobs that I mentioned a few minutes ago. We have a huge responsibility. We are a wealthy nation. We have resources. We have a huge responsibility to make sure that we're doing our fair share.
As we speak, there are 2 wars raging on the international front. Should the United States continue to support Ukraine and Israel?
I do believe that we need to continue making good policy as far as international relations are concerned. We have a duty and a responsibility to continue to protect our allies. Protecting our allies, part of that understanding that we must have is that protecting our allies means that we're also protecting ourselves. We also have to understand that our allies have a right to defend themselves. Now, I believe where a lot of people are challenged in understanding what's happening abroad is we have wars that are raging, that are senseless conflicts and wars at the hands of Netanyahu per se, who has waged war on many countries in the Middle East. Part of that is defending himself, but part of that has a humanitarian component that concerns us all. I think that there is a difference between a nation who is defending themselves and then a nation who becomes an aggressor. I think as the United States, we have to make a decision about what we're going to do to ensure that there is a 2-state solution in Israel and between Israel and Palestine. There should be a 2-state solution, and that 2-state solution will require compromise. I think as an American citizen, one of the things that I'd like to see is peace to those nations, as well as peace in other areas, Russia and Ukraine. Again, we have an aggressor in Russia who has attacked Ukraine. Ukraine has a right to defend themselves. And what we as a nation need to be doing is ensuring that we're defending and making sure that our allies are protected so that some of those conflicts don't spill over into the United States. Because when something happens in another country, sometimes those things have a way of impacting us, such as our gas prices go up, our food costs go up, because we don't have access to those things that we typically would get from our allies.
Our final question, what are your goals if you're elected to Congress?
Okay, my number one goal when I'm elected to Congress will be, number one, again, bringing good paying jobs back to our district. We pay our taxes that covers the cost of operating our federal government. Some of those resources need to come back here to make sure that we're taking care of our communities. My second priority is to make sure that we're also protecting our freedoms, our rights and our freedoms. We've seen our rights and freedoms slip away over the past couple of Congresses, and we need to make sure that we are shoring up our rights. Women's rights are protected, whether it be for abortion rights, IVF, or any other rights and freedoms that we continually see slip away from us. My third priority in going to Congress will be to make sure that we protect our education system. We need to ensure that our young people are properly educated. We can't let that slip away. We need to protect our public schools. We need to ensure that we protect our higher education. We need to protect our vocational schools. And we need to make sure that every child in this country has an opportunity to succeed no matter what their background is. And those 3 priorities will ensure that that happens. I do have a 4th priority, and that's protecting our healthcare system. And whether it be ensuring that our Medicare system is shored up, our Social Security, making sure that we have adequate incomes so that we can provide for our elderly. But those are the priorities that I've heard people across the district articulate are the things that are important to them.
Now your 2-minute closing statement.
Thank you very much. I just want to say to the voters, pay attention to what's going on around us. Understand that our legislators, the people who represent us in Congress, the people who represent us in our state legislatures, those are the individuals who we've sent to Washington, D.C. Those are the people we've sent to Columbus, Ohio, that should be protecting our interest here at home. Because of gerrymandering, those individuals have been able to ignore the wishes of the people. The power is in our hands. We have the power and the opportunity this year to vote for Vanessa Enoch and to ensure that we have a voice in Congress that's going to have our best interest at heart. The things that I've talked about here are the things that I personally, as a citizen of this district, have experienced, or I've heard through conversations from people like you in our communities who have said, here's what our issues are. Here's what we need you to do. Here's what we need to have fixed. I am ready to go to Congress. I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to do the things that need to be done. A vote for me is a vote not just for the district, it's a vote for the entire country. Just one vote from any legislator at the federal level impacts this entire country. And so when I say to you that we need to save our democracy, that's not hyperbole. Project 2025 is a real and present threat. That's something that I'm going to encourage the people at home to take a look at, understand the parameters that the Republican administration has put forward to say this is what we're going to do when we take back the White House. I want to encourage people at home to vote for those of us who will have your best interests at heart, who will ensure that Project 2025 never happens. A vote for Vanessa Enoch is a vote for you in Congress. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate your vote. Go to enochforcongress.com and take a look at my website.
We thank you for being with us. To see this broadcast or other election forums, you can go to waycross.tv. Voting is Tuesday, November 5th. Early voting starts October 8th. The last day to register or update your name or address is October 7th. To get full details, go to votehamiltoncountyohio.gov. I'm Kurt Radel, Government Programming Coordinator of Waycross Community Media. Thank you for watching, and good evening.
Waycross takes no positions on candidates or issues. We conduct these forums so that our viewers may be better informed voters for the November 5th election.